has a lot of potential when it comes to the sound, especially with the turbo application, and this MBRP Armor Pro single side exit exhaust system with the polished tip on the end is going to do an impressive job at opening up the system to give you that rich tone that you may be searching for your 2022 or newer Toyota Tundra. Now the volume here will be pretty moderate thanks to MBRP's street profile with this system to make sure that your truck will turn some heads, make you smile, and also not annoy you on a daily basis, which is going to get itself a 3 out of 5 on the loudness meter, with 1 being stock and 5 being wake the neighbors loud. Now aside from the sound, it's also going to have a much sharper look than the factory system with a polished angle cut tip on the back, cleaning up the appearance with the simple and classic looking setup. Now the biggest benefit that you're getting from this system is obviously the sound, and starting with the exterior sound profile, it is going to be much deeper than the factory system without doing too much when it comes to the volume. Like I said, sticking to pretty much the middle of the spectrum. Now we'll have a rich tone at startup and will be pretty aggressive throughout the RPM ranges, as well as enhanced turbo noise, which will be sure to put a smile on your face, and that's thanks to this straight through style muffler. Now while it will add volume to the outside, it will be heard inside the Tundra as well, but it's going to keep it to the quieter side of the spectrum compared to louder systems and include minimal drone with the built-in resonator, so longer drives or cruising on the highway at low RPM is going to remain comfortable. Now being the Armor Pro series, this will be made of a high quality 304 stainless steel construction front to back that is resistant to rust, making it great for really whatever environment that your Tundra sees, even if you live in some of the toughest climates. Now on the back, this will also feature that good looking 4-inch dual wall angle cut tip with a mirror polish finish, and because it is also going to be made of that high quality 304, that's not going to rust, keeping that clean and classic look for the long run on your truck. Now the mandrel bent tubing throughout the system will also produce smooth airflow, especially with the larger 3-inch sizing, and will include factory located hangers that are welded on, all ready for a complete bolt-on install with no modifications required. Now as for price, this will be right in the middle of the spectrum at around $1,200. Now this system will offer a great balance of not being super over the top when it comes to the sound or added features, while still offering high quality materials and a tougher presence to your Tundra. It will also keep more of a minimal appearance with the single side exit configuration compared to some other flashier choices if you do want a straightforward look with a well-designed build when it comes to your Tundra's exhaust system. Install here will be a lighter 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and with a little bit of mechanical experience, it should take about 2 hours to get the job done. Now at this point, we can head over to our shop, check out a detailed breakdown on how you can get this onto your Tundra at home. So that is going to wrap it up for what I have to say. Let's go ahead and get into the install.
Tools required for this install include an impact gun, exhaust hanger remover tool, an extension, 15mm wrench, a tape measure, a marker, a swivel adapter, 8mm Allen socket, 15mm socket, and a saw. What's up guys? Today we're installing an exhaust on our Tundra. First we're going to watch a quick uninstall video showing you how to remove your factory exhaust, and then I'll meet you back here for the install.
Alright guys, for the first step of the uninstall, we're going to grab a 14mm socket, a swivel socket, and an extension, and we're going to remove these 2 nuts. Next, we'll grab a hanger removal tool. We're going to remove this hanger out of the isolator. Now we can let this hang. We're going to go up to our middle isolator and we're going to remove that over there. Now I'm going to have one hand holding on to the exhaust and the other to remove this isolator. Once that's popped out of place, we could slide our tube out of these studs. And we're gonna snake this out over the axle. And now we can snake our pipe over our axle. Gonna snake it out. Now we can move on to the front part of the pipe. So now I have my 14mm socket, swivel socket, and extension, and we're gonna remove these 2 bolts out of the flange. Now we're gonna move over to the other side and do that same thing. Next we'll be removing these 2 hangers. I have my pull jack to hold up the exhaust. So now I have my exhaust hanger removal. We're gonna remove these hangers. Now we have 1 more in the back, and then once that's done, our exhaust will be removed. Now using that same tool, we're gonna remove our last hanger. Make sure you hold up the end of the exhaust. Now I'm going to lower down my pull jack. Move it out of the way. Now we can remove.
Now before we get started installing our exhaust, we're gonna make the cut on our extension pipe that we need. Depending on the wheelbase, cab length, and the bed length of your truck, you might not have to cut this, you might have to cut a little bit, or you might have to cut a lot. We have the CrewMax 146-inch wheelbase with a 5.5-foot bed, so we're gonna need a 12 3/4-inch pipe. So we're gonna measure from the side where the hangers are closer to. We're gonna measure out 12.75 inches and then just mark it with a marker, and we'll take this over to the saw. So now I've got my pipe all set up in the saw. I've got the blade lined up with my line. Now the only thing we have to be a little bit careful of is to not cut through our hangers here. Now they do sit a little bit below the end of the pipe, so we might have to rotate this to not cut the hangers, but we'll see what happens here. So now we're gonna start up at our cats. We're gonna start on the driver's side here. So raise your pipe up into place. You want the bend going towards the inside of the truck. And then you can slide in your factory spring bolt. And then get your nut on the back side of that bolt. And now we're just gonna leave this loose for now until we get the other side installed, and then we'll get the pipe that connects these 2 together. And now you can do that same thing on the passenger side. You're just gonna be threading your bolts into the nut that's welded on that flange. We don't have separate nuts on this one. So now we're gonna get a couple pipes installed here. So we're gonna take our 2 2.5-inch clamps and slide those over those front pipes. And then we'll get our little Y pipe here. Connect your 2 pipes with that. And then we're also gonna take the pipe that we cut. We're gonna get this into our hangers. That way our exhaust has something to support it so that we know everything's straight when we tighten down our front 2 flanges. So for this one, you're gonna need a 3-inch clamp. Slide that on. And then get this pipe slipped into that flange. Then you can kind of push your isolators back to give you some room to work with. And then slide your rods into that isolator. So now we can come back to our 2 cat flanges. and take our 15mm socket, tighten those down. And then over on the driver's side one, you'll need a 15mm wrench on the backside. And just go back and forth and tighten your flanges down evenly. So now we'll just start from the front and work our way back on our clamps. You're gonna need a 15mm socket to tighten these three down. Next, we're going to install our muffler. So take another 3-inch clamp and slide it over the edge there. And slide that into place. I've got the logo facing down here, but it doesn't matter. And then take a 15mm socket and snug up the clamp. Next, we can install our over axle pipe. So I'm going to take another 3-inch clamp and put it over the muffler outlet. And now, just to make this a little bit easier on myself, I'm gonna pop off this rubber isolator right behind the muffler here, because the two rods on our new pipe are facing opposite directions, so taking one of these off will just make it easier to maneuver into place. So grab the hanger remover tool, pop that off, and then I'm gonna take our pipe and fish it over the axle. And then get your rod through the rear hanger. Kind of got to do that and get this into the muffler outlet at the same time. And then slide that the rest of the way through the isolator. Get it all the way into your muffler, and then grab your other isolator, get it onto the pipe first, and then get it onto the frame. And now go back to your clamp, grab your 15mm socket and tighten it down. Next, we can install our tailpipe. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this isolator in the rear here. Same thing, it's just going to make it a little bit easier on us. Just go ahead and pop that off. And then grab your last clamp, slide it onto the end of the tailpipe. And then slide that onto your over axle pipe and raise it up. And then grab that isolator, slide it onto the exhaust pipe first. And then up onto the frame. And then once you have that in place, go back to your clamp, slide that into place, and take your 15mm socket, tighten it down. Now lastly, we can install our tip. So just slide that on and then figure out how much poke you'd like. You can put it out here and bring it in here for a more flush with the body look. I'm gonna have a little bit of poke here. So get it how you like it, and then take an 8mm Allen socket and tighten that bolt down.
So that's going to wrap it up for my review and the install of the MBRP Armor Pro Series single side exit exhaust system with the polished tip, fitting all 2022 and newer Toyota Tundras, and you can find this right here at extremeterrain.com.